Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Creative Buzz podcast. I am your host, Johnny Tran, owner of Thumbprint Gallery. We have a lot of cool stuff for you this evening. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out. The Creative Buzz podcast covers the arts and culture industry and scene here in San Diego. And today we will be interviewing Carlos Beltran of Vos Alta Projects and artists Rob Medina. We'll also be updating you on the Ticketmaster Live Nation antitrust situation that we have been following. And then we'll be interviewing local uh, San Diego rock band GTG. And then we'll be talking about the story of San Diego artist Lourans Mikhail, who has been selected for a memorial mural for Tyre Nicholes in Memphis. Yeah, and so that's what we got going on. I just wanted to let you know that the Creative Buzz podcast is sponsored by Thumbprint Gallery. Thumbprint Gallery was founded in 2009. We curate monthly and pop-up art exhibitions featuring emerging mid-career and established artists with a focus on contemporary pop culture, nostalgia, urban art, and pop surrealism. The gallery seeks to provide an eclectic and engaging atmosphere to view art by bringing people together in appreciation and support of local, national, and international artists. Now, don't miss out on our current art exhibition titled All at Once by Micah Mariah and Brandon Dristy, currently on display until February 25th at Thumbprint Gallery in La Jolla. So you got one more day to check that out. The gallery is open every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. And I wanted to also tell you about our upcoming art exhibition, Punk Rock Bedroom, a solo exhibition by Rob Medina, who we will be interviewing today. This will be at Thumbprint Gallery in La Jolla, and it will be presented by Vos Alta. And we will be talking with Carlos Beltran from Vos Alta very shortly. The exhibition starts March 3rd with opening reception that night from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the exhibition will be on display until April 29th. And now we are going to get Carlos Beltran of Vos Alta. Hopefully he's ready on the podcast. What's up, Carlos?
Hey, Johnny, what's happening, brother?
Oh, not much. Just having a blast time of my
Right
life.
on. Cool. Right on, dude. Good to
Yeah.
see you.
Yeah,
Thank you
good
for
to
the
see you.
invite. Thank
For
you for the
sure.
invite.
Yeah, thanks for being on the podcast, and thanks for collaborating with Thumbprint Gallery.
Yeah, that's always fun, and again, thanks again, and exciting, right?
Right.
Exciting.
Hell yeah.
To have a Bob Rob and Punk Rock Bedroom and bring his share his catalog
Hell yeah.
and
Definitely. Hey, so just to get us started, for people who don't know, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself really fast and what is Vos Alta? How did it
yeah,
start? Where, when?
sure. My name is Carlos Beltran, and I've been a part of the Vol Salta program for, man, let me see, quite some time, over I would say 10 years.
Mm,
But basically, the founders were the Taco Shop Poets.
right.
Um, they needed a space, to rehearse and do their, do what they had on their mind, their
Mm-hmm.
ideas, create, and a lot of it was poetry. And
Okay.
the name is called Voz Alta,
Oh, okay.
loud voice. And then from there, it just kind of like it's a nonprofit collective effort.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow, I was just like anybody else looking for to do an art show to display my photographs, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was always hanging out at the spot. That's Voz Alta at the studio.
Around what year was that?
Man,
A million
that was
years?
in yeah, yeah. People start figuring out how old we are, huh?
Never
But
mind.
yeah,
Don't
no,
tell them.
uh, right. I mean, it was a man. I can't tell you a date, but it was man. It was quite some time ago.
Yeah.
It was on
Over
yeah,
15 years ago, right?
easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was on what was it, Tentani. That's when
Okay.
I was just showing up and watching the jazz jam and the poetry and art shows. And then it moved to 16th and Broadway, and then started getting more interested in trying to have an art show there and having beers, at the bar
Mm-hmm.
store, which was Landlord Jim's, and a lot
Right.
of things happening there at the same time. And I was able to get my first art show over at the Ice Gallery, and
Okay.
that was another collective at that time.
Okay. Yeah, I
Mario
remember them.
Chacon, Ricardo Islas, Perry Vasquez,
Mm-hmm.
and they paired me up with Chicle, and that's when I met Chicle.
Wow.
So it's crazy because we had that show. So at that time, the people of Vol Salta went to there and said, "Oh man, finally, you should have a show at our space." You know what I
Okay.
mean? So
Okay.
then it was just like a breakthrough to go over there, and just like anybody who's interested in something in the art movement, it's more like passion, dedication, and people like you and Paul, of course, are been here for quite some time as well. You guys are here too. You guys are
Mm-hmm.
built to last at this point.
I hope so.
So yeah, so I felt the same way. So when I got involved, I finally they let me curate shows.
Mm.
You got to get the. I built the trust. I guess I
Sure.
would say, right?
Sure. Sure.
Built the trust, and things just started to flow, and my role started being bigger and bigger without even
Mm-hmm.
knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing you know, we had to make a move. We dealt with eminent domain, so we had to make a move. We
You
made
got
that
kicked out of
move.
that spot.
Yeah, yeah. And we made a move to Barrio Logan.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't as easy as it sounds. You're looking at
Right.
spaces and you're calling people and you're filling out applications and what's the idea? And people, once they knew like the idea was Vol Salta, the rent went from like, you know what I mean? People be like, how much is the rent? Oh, Vol Salta. Oh, well, we're going to charge you 2,000. Whoa, we're going to charge you. You know what I mean? Like,
They
whoa. So
wanted to charge you more?
yeah, yeah, because
Huh.
they know we already kind of came from,
I see.
people are paying
Interesting.
attention, reading, whatever
Yeah, sure. You had a
articles at
name.
those times coming
I
out.
get it.
Yeah, so it was just one of those things. I went and looked at this Barrio Logan spot,
Mm-hmm.
and the door was open, but the spot that we actually were in,
Yeah.
it was actually more beat down when I looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a phone call, and the guy was just like, "Well, what would you want to do?"
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, and he just was like, "Oh yeah, let's get Vol Salta going again."
Mm-hmm.
And he did the remodel, and boom, just what do you need?
And
Just
then,
you went there, just open space. So
and how long was Volsalta at that new spot in Barrio Logan?
the goal was 5 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we hit that point. 5.
Okay. I didn't know
Yeah,
there was a predetermined goal.
yeah, we reached our goal, and
All
it was
right.
great. Yeah, yeah. We do, sometimes I say being part of this art of the movement, creative, contemporary, street, whatever
Street urban art, yeah,
added.
sure.
Yeah, so we kind of at this point, as you work your way into it and try to make your place in the movement, you kind of realize at some point when you mature that you just gotta hit a goal sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the thing about Volsata though, we always know we'll get a space. We'll collaborate with people.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing. I think that's really special because when we had our own space, it was hard to collaborate with
Right.
anybody unless it was at our space.
Sure.
You know.
Some logistics and time constraints and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But now you don't have your own space and you're free to collaborate with Thumbprint Gallery. And do you have
exactly.
any other collabos in mind in the future?
Well, we have collaborated with Bread and Salt. You know,
Okay,
I'm thankful for them too, and of
that's
course
real
you
cool.
guys, Thumbprint.
Mm-hmm.
So those are places that you guys, you know, and of course, places we have used let us be free, the freedom to express or
Sure.
bring what we want to display or you know put out there. So we like working definitely with
For
you
sure.
guys, and when we can, we gym over at Bread and Salt because
Cool.
yeah, they trust us, so that's a good thing too.
What were some of the most memorable events or shows with Will Salta over the years, over
I
15 plus years? You must remember something.
Yeah, you know what? It's I hung out with a lot of musicians, like they were
Mm-hmm.
my roommates, and a lot of them were percussion, and and so I got to study a lot of, I mean, without just kind of study that for being
Mm-hmm.
around it, and I did take classes with Victor and Dante, people involved with Osata Paul.
Classes in
So
what? Music?
percussion, yeah, percussion,
Oh,
like because that's a big theme,
got
percussion.
it.
Um,
We
with the
should
Latin
jam,
jazz
bro.
jam that
We
we
should
had,
jam.
remember we had the Latin jazz jam on Thursday, the Bill
Yeah.
Caballero Latin jazz jam.
Yeah.
So that was a thing that the taco shop poets brought. They carried
Mm-hmm.
on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was always and it developed nice. It just blew up, and that most out that was sung. So the best thing was when they brought um, Jose Quintanilla Changuito. That was something very special for him to come to the space and a legitimate jazz drummer, percussionist. I say percussionist because they play everything: drums,
Mm-hmm.
timbales, you know, congas, bongo. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that has to do with percussion, they're experts at it. You know what I mean? Well, this
Right.
guy was a legend in the sense of he wrote certain Cuban drum patterns.
Mm.
You know, so it was just crazy. I was on basically we're at the jazz jam, and someone at the jazz jam made a phone call to this cat, this Changuito. That's what his nickname
Mm.
that a lot of people Changuito. And they put him on the phone with me, and I was like, "Yeah, right. Sure. I'm in San Diego. Give him my address." And he says, "I'm coming over." And I go, "Here, I'm gonna give you another address to my house." And what do you know? He showed up like a month later to my house.
Nice.
And I
Wow.
call my percussionist friend and go, "Dude, this Changuito's at my house." And they're like, "Shut up." You know what I mean? This is like, shut up. I'm all, seriously, I really, I need you guys here to confirm, like, you guys really know him. And when they showed up, their mouths were like, "Holy shit, he's here. He's at your house." You know?
Yeah.
And the crazy part about this thing, you know what I mean? It was wild. He had percussion workshops set up in San Diego, and he changed them all to Voz Alta. He did everything at Voz Alta.
Mm.
It became workshops, which was awesome. And besides that, I didn't pay percussion, but I was there for a lot of the workshops.
Mm.
But not only that, I got to watch like novelas and drink wine with them and go out to eat, like on another vibe. And it was
Yeah.
dope. It was dope. It was
Very
super
cool.
special, super dope to hang out with a legend. That
Wow.
thanks to my friends, I knew the name, I knew what he has done, and so that kind of happened, and it was a real fucking blessing, as we would say. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And of
Very
course, the
cool.
times that Chunky would show up and just fucking take over the space and jam. You know what I mean? That was another just just amazing. But on visual art, man, I mean, there's some good special nights. Um, I think a good one was with working with Serge and Ricardo Islas from San Diego,
Mm-hmm.
of course,
Okay.
because those guys already do their thing. They're dialed with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So when they had their show together, that one was a nice strong event.
Nice. What
And
year was that?
sheesh, dude, 2006 maybe seven. We
2006.
have a
All right.
video. We have a video. Attack of the Laser Beam,
Dope.
and that was a killer video made by Catherine Sweeterman.
Oh,
She's
I know
awesome
her.
at video. Yeah, she's awesome at video, man.
Oh, I haven't talked to her in a long time.
Neither have I, but we've said hi, whatever, through the platforms out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So she made a dope ass video of that, and that was a dope show. But a lot of music, we had Prayers, of course, do their first performance there.
Oh, wow. That's something.
Yeah, yeah, and then we had visits by various you know dope ass artists. Man, it's just
Yeah, you
we got a plan. Thanks to you guys, we got
nice. And now you're
involved.
collaborating with Thumbprint Gallery.
Yes, sir.
You got uh, Bob Rob Medina. Why did you choose Bob Rob Medina as the artist for the Vos Alta Thumbprint Gallery collaboration? What made him
Well,
special?
Bob is. I've worked with Bob before, and I think he always brings like sometimes we're booking shows, and sometimes they're or similar in the art movement.
Mhm.
A lot of artists know each other. A lot of artists are inspired by each other, and
Right.
and sometimes you see it in the art, and that's great. I love it. But Bob has always been the guy that comes from that other side that kind of throws me off and like, oh shit, punk rock bedroom, give me a minute, and I always soak it in and give me a
Yeah.
minute. All right, give me some more. What are we thinking about? What? All right,
Just
and
kind of
then
innovative and yeah.
yeah, and after that,
Mhm.
I totally can vibe it, and I could totally throw that curveball in on the calendar. You know what I mean? and
Right.
and he always executes everything he does very well. So
Oh,
so
good.
I trust him too.
Well, that
And
makes me feel better too.
yeah, yeah, no, and at this time, like,
Not that I was worried.
no, I know
We
how you
good.
feel. We're always worried
Yeah.
about shows. I know, but
Hey, for the audience, you could write questions in comments and whatever. Maybe we'll answer it. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe,
Cool.
maybe not,
Yeah.
maybe, but
But
yeah, um,
yeah. Go ahead.
he's Bob Rob. He's gonna come in and he starts to finish, and it's great. I love working with artists that bring their A game all the time,
Oh.
and I think it's something we learn from curating
Mm-hmm.
and having shows, from making our rosters to man who brings the A game from start to finish, from basically, you know what I mean, to drop off the
For
pickup and
sure.
all that.
Yeah. All
And
the.
I like that. I mean, people don't know. I mean, I like.
Oh, here we go.
I love. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know.
People can't. They can't. It's like, bro, we book. You know what I'm talking about. Artists
Oh
need to
yeah.
deliver on time. Basically, let's just say
Yeah.
that deliver on time and pick up. Let's make it easy, and we
Well, good
will.
luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, and we will let everybody know that you're easy to work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not then
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever.
It's like whatever though.
But hey, let's bring Bob Rob Medina onto the podcast. Yeah.
Awesome, yeah, man.
Good.
Hey,
Let's do
let's
it.
get them on. What's up?
Hello.
Hey,
Hey,
welcome, Bob Rob
Thanks.
Medina,
all right, Bob.
How's it
artist.
going?
Good, good. How you doing?
Good. It was funny because I was listening to Carlos, and you guys mentioned Catherine Sweetman.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So her
yeah.
dad was my professor at the
Oh,
University of Colorado back
wow.
in like 1992, 91, 92.
Wow.
And
Wow.
her dad and both her mom were professors at my university. So
Did
when
you study art at the university or?
I did,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, that's where I got
Right.
my undergrad degree in studio arts and stuff.
Okay.
So
Dope.
it was crazy. I actually took a course on how to be a good artist in terms of dropping off your shit on time and picking
Oh,
it up
that
on time
exists?
and make gallery people happy. So
Wow. Yes. We
so
appreciate it.
yeah. So
Oh yeah.
my first it was funny because like I moved to San Diego in 2002,
Okay.
and I was always looking at the Reader or City Beat or whatever it was for stuff to do because I was writing poetry and stuff, and
Okay.
I was a poet, and
Oh, wow.
just
Renaissance man.
yeah, no, I was a very cheesy poet. I like to write a lot, tell stories and stuff. And so that's how I learned about the Voz Alta. And
Okay.
so I went down when it was on what, ninth or 10th and E or something like
Mhm.
that.
In
Mm.
between ninth and 10th, yeah.
Yeah. And there
There, yep.
was interesting characters, but as always said, the Taco Shop Poets Presents. And
Yeah.
so that's how I kind of learned about it and started going to those events. And then when you guys moved up to Landlord Jim's or by Landlord Jim's on Broadway Street, that was
Mm.
the place to be. There was like, my old
Wow.
band Cabron would play there, and
Yes.
you got to
Yes.
see other bands like Pistolera and
Yeah.
and Ficano and all sorts of music stuff going on there. And there was art shows, and I think Stephanie was the one that was
Yeah.
curating it at the time.
Mm. I remember her.
Well,
And then
the
I tried to get a show there, and
Mm.
I don't know if they were just not into my stuff or whatever. But
it was
thankfully, no diss to Stephanie because she's rad, Bill's rad.
yeah.
But Carlos, took a chance on me. I think it was 2011 when I told him I wanted to turn the Vols Alta into Egypt, and I'm sure he was like, "What the
What
hell?
does that mean?
What
What
did
does
that
yeah,
mean?"
What
what
that
did that mean?
So I lived in
What year was
Alexandria,
this?
Egypt, and I ended
yeah.
up living there for 8 years in
Uh-huh.
total because I was teaching there. But living in Egypt totally lit me. It totally like changed my whole perspective on the
Wow.
world.
When
And
was this? When did you live in Egypt?
I went to work. We basically, my wife and I were educators, and with the budget cuts and stuff, we were kind of
Okay.
like being basically downsized.
Mhm.
And so we went from kind of like not really being sure what our future looked like in terms of
Mhm.
getting a job into the school in Alexandria, Egypt, which is on the coast of the Mediterranean,
Okay.
hired us. And so when we landed, actually right before we landed, I was looking down because we were landing in Cairo, and I'm like, holy shit, what did we get us into for the next 2 years? Because we had to sign a 2 year contract, and
Wow.
you're seeing these like just millions of brick houses down below
Hmm.
these big buildings, and you're kind of unsure what's going to happen.
Hmm.
And
What
from
year
the
was this? Around what year?
2009, this was
Okay.
in fall 2009.
Cool.
And so we land, and our director picks us up, and from there it was just incredible, like the whole experience. And it's not a place for everyone
Mhm.
in terms of, I mean, it's in some places it's not clean, it's intense, it's noisy,
Hmm.
it's just always buzzing, and I really
Hmm.
like that aspect about it a lot. So I wanted to bring that and kind of like bring it to a gallery setting.
Okay.
So
You did a little
so
installation.
Yeah, it was an installation because I brought in like there were small photographs, but there was like 500 photographs and like 100 drawings that I made, plus a ton of ephemera from election posters to things that were considered anti-Semitic to like beer advertisements to whatever I
Mhm.
Some
found out.
stenciled cats because you said
Yeah, yeah.
everywhere.
The whole thing was I wanted to bring cats into the gallery, but the city wouldn't let me
You
because
did
Oh,
bring
I
a
see.
goat.
not healthy. But they did let me bring in some goats.
Yeah.
So I
Wow.
looked on Craigslist and hired some goats for the opening. So there's some. I'm not bringing goats to the
True.
show, by
Oh
the way.
my gosh.
True.
The
I hope
thumbprint.
not.
But since I couldn't bring the cats, I stenciled a bunch of cats on there and put a bunch of rotten fruit and vegetables because you'll encounter a lot of that because a lot of people drop baskets from these tall buildings and when a fruit vendor came around like talking in their microphone of whatever it is that they were selling, it would go and people would put like 50 cents in a basket and then get like a pound of onions delivered up to them in their basket and stuff. So we kind of created that. We had somebody make falafel and just kind of like Egyptian street food. People had a place where they can smoke hookah. They call it shisha there.
Right.
So it was just I've tried to bring the sights and the sounds. We had some video just to kind of overwhelm the senses for the people that were
Wow.
there. NPR picked it up a little bit, and I was on one of the San Diego radio programs and stuff,
Very
and
cool.
interviewed for that, and so I felt like in approaching Carlos with this show, Punk Rock Bedroom, I wanted to kind of recreate a punk rock bedroom,
Okay.
kind of like when I grew up, like and like my friends had, where you just had all their flyers packed, tacked up on their walls and posters and stereos and your Star Wars bed sheets and all that sort of stuff and your guitar that you're learning to try to play, records,
So
clothes.
the punk rock scene was really important to you when you
It
were
was
growing up?
totally important to me.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I had my friend in elementary school, like sixth grade. He went to California before we started middle school in seventh grade, and or called junior high school, whatever.
Right.
And he came back with some cassette tapes, and he says his cousin made for him. He goes, "It's punk rock," and I was like, "What's that?" Because I didn't even really know I didn't really listen to rock. I listened to what my parents kind of listened to.
Okay.
I think like in 78 or 78, I went out and bought like the Star Wars soundtrack with my own money. Then
It's
like
good music.
yeah, Counter Star Trek. I mean, John Williams made some awesome soundtracks for like like a 8 or 9-year-old and stuff. Some really kind of
Right.
But
adventurous
also,
music.
excuse me. Also, Bob plays, in punk rock bands, and
Oh, okay.
I've witnessed everything. I mean, from Cabron, Fekna, dope ass punk rock music. That was before I was in charge of Osalta.
Mm.
I knew they had a good relationship with to use the space for the music. I knew they had a good relationship because they always respected the art on the wall. So I would at that time volunteer to go over and just like make sure the space is okay, make sure they lock the door. But I mean, they were responsible, but the music was dope all the time. You know what I mean? So at that time though, I wasn't talking to Bob. You know what I mean? I was still, you know what I mean, getting in. I knew who they were. I knew who the guys were, and I mean, all the way up to if you want to talk about anything on the your members of your band, but I knew the guys, but at the same time, I wasn't still in charge of this of Volsalta and stuff.
Right.
So skip through all that. Let's talk about when he had the show at Vol, so you could see when he when he told me he was gonna do all that, I was like, all right, well, let's see, you know what I mean? Let's do it. And he did. He brought it all. He brought the whole vibe that he was just explaining. So when we talked about this show, it wasn't very hard to say, yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
just he sent me everything. I read it. I was just like, fuck, all right, fuck yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? At the same
Nice.
time, so it wasn't that hard to come, and let you guys know about what
Yeah, yeah, for
Bob,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so I started playing in bands after seeing my kind of like first big show was Black Flag in the
Wow.
spring, late winter of '83 when they rolled through town, and that just totally changed my life. It altered,
Wow.
like hell yeah, I'm gonna play music. I don't know how to play music, but I'm gonna pick up a
Figured it out
guitar
later.
and figure it out. Yeah. So that's kind of like always been kind of like my mindset is like I'm not that great of an artist, but I'm going to figure it out and just make the art, make the music, whatever. And so when I landed here in San Diego, I started playing actually with this guy named Sam Lopez who runs Stay Strange San Diego.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, him and his wife Mandy had a band called Isinglass, and so I joined Isinglass, and that's how I met Mark, who was the drummer, and he played in tons of bands.
What instrument do you play?
I play guitar.
Okay.
So after kind of Isinglass kind of, did their thing, I wanted to kind of start a kind of throwback band, a punk band that kind of played tribute to a lot of the stuff like in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I started Cabron. And our late singer, Leo, who passed away about 6 months ago or so.
Sorry to hear.
Yeah, it was a bummer. It was a shock. I learned about it when I was in Abu Dhabi at like a party.
Wow.
I get a call from our bass player, and I'm like just devastated.
Wow.
So that was hard. I think Cabron, everyone in Cabron had their own kind of demons that we kind of dealt with, and I think it kind of came together in a lot in our music and stuff.
Great band. Great band.
Yeah, so that's how we met. I mean, that's how I met Leo. I met him through Chicle, actually. Him and Chicle were kind of like best buddies.
Oh wow!
And he told me, "Hey, you gotta meet my, this guy Leo and stuff. Or I think you guys will get along well."
Mm-hmm.
And he was right. Leo and I hit it off pretty well. And I said, "Dude, you're kind of, you're kind of crazy. You should sing in a band." He's like, "Oh." And so I'm like, "Dude, you're intense. You're crazy. You need to sing in the band."
Right.
So that's how I kind of like convinced them to play in the band. So that's how kind of Cabron came together. It came together with this guy Shane and Mark and Leo, and that's how we kind of started. And Leo decided at some point he was kind of tired of playing and stuff, but it was hard for me to let him go. I just kind of like, well, can you do part-time? Sometimes you play what you want to play and stuff. Then we end up getting this rad guy named Rodney and stuff. So we played, a lot of later shows with Rodney, but Leo would sometimes kind of like join in and stuff. But
you played in San Diego mostly, or
yeah, we played mostly in San Diego. Maybe a couple shows up in LA, like
cool.
at the Smell and at the Doll Hut.
The Doll Hut.
Denver. Yeah, we actually played in Denver too. Strangely enough, and it was without Leo and without Mark. Actually, it was for my book release. I wrote a couple of books on the history of Denver punk.
Wow.
Second one with my longtime friend Sonny K.
Okay, tell us about those. Tell us about those books.
Yeah, maybe Sonny K. He's done a lot of art for like Mars Volta, like album covers and stuff.
Okay.
Record label GSL and stuff. So we played in the band together in Boulder called Savalis, and so when Savalis broke up and I moved away, he started Angel Hair, and he kind of continued on with his aesthetic and stuff, which is really meaningful and powerful within that punk community back then. But yeah, when I was living and working in Ethiopia, I finally was, the few times that I can get on the internet was seeing what all my friends were doing. I was like, damn, I need to start making art again and stuff, because I kind of wasn't a lot. And so I found a way to basically express what the music in Denver meant through me, through my art. So basically, I took a lot of photographs that people took in Denver, and I kind of recreated them into drawings, and that basically became the illustrations for the punk history books I wrote, which is
Oh wow.
basically a little bit of my story, but mostly interviewing other people. Because I've always been in the whole aspect of storytelling. And instead of hearing from one person's narrative, which you hear a lot of history books from, it's better to get, even if there's a contradiction in it or not, to get people's kind of like input, and
Right.
as many people as you can get, just so that
How many people did you interview?
I think the first book something like 30, and the second book like 62 or something like that.
When did it come out?
The first book came out in 2015, and the other one second one came out in 2019.
Cool.
And I'm working right now with the University of Colorado to do kind of maybe a third book in an exhibition on the history of Colorado underground music.
Wow.
That's going to come out sometime next year. So
wow.
Right on.
I have not made a single cent from any of this. In fact, I feel like I keep on signing up for stuff that's going to make me lose money. So
Right.
just kind of like, art shows and writing books,
Yeah, but it's your passion though, right? Obviously.
Yeah, it's totally my passion.
Yeah.
It's my hobby. It's what I do. But going back to punk rock bedroom. So yeah, so we're gonna turn your gallery into like this kind of like bedroom living space. But on the opening night, Steve from Emo Brown, Emo Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know of the podcast. That's
Okay.
what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. So he's I think he's one of the owners of, if not the owner of, Three Punks Ale.
Right.
Glasses.
And
I don't know him, but I know of him.
Right.
Yeah, so we're gonna have maybe a commemorative beer for the show, but we're definitely gonna have like they're gonna donate I think a keg or something for the show, and we're gonna have. That's okay. Is that okay?
Yeah, but you gotta do a cake stand.
Okay.
Just kidding. Actually, they'll do that.
Go.
Well, at the end of the show, you can if you want, but
Yeah. So Chicle introduced me to him a
right.
couple of summers ago, and I did a podcast on Emo Brown. That was a whole lot of fun.
Oh,
It's always fun to talk. I always feel like anytime I listen to his podcast, I always learn something. Other than like the marijuana like dispensary.
Right.
What do they call it? The sponsorships that he has.
Oh,
You'll learn some really cool stuff about people, and
yeah.
For sure.
it's
For sure.
lots of fun. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to March 3rd, right? March 3rd, Friday.
March. No, is it 3rd? 4th.
3rd or 4th.
Okay, 3rd or 4th. It's
March
Friday.
3rd,
First Friday.
I think. Yeah.
So what mediums are being used for the art?
I'm doing acrylic ink, and when I was in Europe, in Greece in particular, I discovered acrylic inks, because I was working with brush and ink before, but it wasn't as opaque as the stuff that like Molotov was making. And so Molotov, for a lot of graffiti artists, they specialize in their acrylic inks or paints and stuff. So I got turned on to that because the street art scene in Athens is insane. I mean, it's, some people call it the new Berlin, but
I see.
That can change by the moment, So we go to Greece quite often, at least like 3 times a year, because we were only a couple hours away from Egypt. So we'd fly out there,
right,
for the little holidays and stuff.
Sure.
And just pick up art supplies, and that's kind of how I got hooked on it. So yeah, so most of the paintings or the drawings are like 14 by 17, like these acrylic ink drawings. And basically the idea is to pay tribute to a lot of the photographers in the early 80s, who took pictures of the bands, because without their photographs, without
Right.
fanzines, you wouldn't really know a lot about what the bands look like or what the energy looked like.
Right. It's interesting.
Without those photographs. So my friend Jimmy and I would be getting like Flipside and Maximum Rock and Roll, just like flipping the pages of these fanzines and like going, holy crap, this stuff is amazing. Like, it's one thing to listen to the music, but to actually put a photograph with the music, then that the intensity really kind of like settles in of what's going on. You know, it's giving you really a fuller picture. And most of these photographers are alive and stuff, and they have no idea what I'm doing to their photographs and stuff. I kind of feel guilty about it, but I let a couple know, and they were saying, like, "Oh, that's cool. Thank you for."
Right.
I feel honored that you're paying tribute to my photographs, because that's really what it is. It's kind of a tribute to them, but it's also my interpretation of how the music sounds in color and in lines in a lot of ways. So just like when you listen to like any kind of music, like sometimes I listen to jazz. I listen, Jazz 88 when I drive to school to calm down. And I think about those musicians playing in the clubs and stuff. And I think about colors, and I think about lines and brush strokes and that sort of thing. And that's how I process a lot of music sometimes. I think of it as a very visual experience, not just an auditory one.
Okay. So you use the art to reflect what the music does to you emotionally, and
Yeah.
yeah. Do you think of like what you do, like art, writing? Is it like a form of documentation? Like why is that
I
important
think
to
in some
you?
ways, yeah, with the Denver books, definitely a form of documentation, because I think you don't want to ever lose that history.
Yeah,
And that's why I think it's
history, preserving memory, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people were into it. The first book, we printed 1,000 copies, and they're gone. They finally sold out about
Oh wow,
6 months ago, and I was
nice,
super stoked on that.
very cool.
My goal is to like maybe sell 500 and use the other 500 for firewood or something. I don't know, but you didn't think about just like the bands, they never think about like they were going to sell, like Minor Threat's not thinking they're going to sell the first 1,000 records that they make. And now those records are going for $1,500, $2,000, like on Discog.
Wow.
It's crazy. A lot of bands that aren't like that. And that's another funny thing. Just I'm putting this out there so no one gets any like crazy idea. But on your walls, there's going to be a ton of flyers. Those are copies, so don't go steal those. It's part of the show.
Oh,
just
right.
Just for people that are
Right.
out there. But more importantly, I made
Yeah.
props, and I scanned record covers.
Oh wow.
And I scanned like a Misfits record that's
Yeah, they're not real, guys.
they're not real at all.
don't
It's just a
steal
scan
it.
cover, and I think it's
I
like
mean,
some
even if they were real, don't steal. You just say that.
But it's funny because I'm like what record am I going to put in there so people think it's real in some ways, because it's a prop in some ways. So I have like this Misfits record that's worth quite a bit of money.
Wow. How much is it worth?
The last one on Discog sold for $9,900.
Don't leave it out in the sun, bro.
Yeah, exactly. but so I scanned it. So I scanned the
Don't
cover.
lay it down.
Somebody had recently offered me $3,000 for it, but
Mm.
I am going to sell it eventually. But
Yeah,
when I
retirement.
buy a house in Spain or something, I want that money. I want a project for that money to go towards, not just
For
to
sure.
have $3,000 and buy my daughter like chicken nuggets or something.
Right.
You want it to be for like a purpose, to be for a reason why you want to sell your record or book collection or something.
Right.
So yeah, so I think there's some kind of like Norteño record 45 I picked up at the swap meet for like 10 cents or something like that. That's in there just to give it the sense that there's a record.
Right. I got it.
So I did all those. I did maybe a dozen of those, and I'm going to do some albums too and stuff. And that people go like, oh, those are albums. And there's going to be that one weird collector nerd that's going to go, who's going to go over to that and kind of like pull out that record to see if it's real or not.
Wait,
I know
really?
there's going to be some people like, damn, dude, why is this fool putting these rare records?
What else will be part of the installation? If you want to tell us, or do you
there's
want to
gonna
keep
be-
it a surprise? I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, there's going to be a guitar and amp and stuff.
Yeah.
Like maybe like a 3-string guitar. I don't know, because that when you broke your strings when you're like 14 years old, you weren't smart enough to replace them. You just like, hey, I'm going to learn to play a 3-string guitar.
Nice. Carlos, you got any questions for Bob?
I'm excited. He's already, I'm just excited for March 3rd. Let's get it going, Bob. I have no questions. He's already answered everything, I think. He's covered a lot. So
yes, March 3rd.
You ready to go, Bob?
I'm ready.
Do this?
Nice.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I matted and framed everything this past weekend, so I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to hang.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. I'm excited.
Me too.
Come on down. We're collaborating with Thumbprint.
The only thing I don't have yet, and I've been checking up Craigslist and OfferUp, and I have a couple of leads, but I still need a single bed, like a twin bed.
Okay.
So
hopefully that comes through.
Yeah. No, it's going to come through.
Okay.
It's just matter, am I going to spend like $70 or I'm going to spend $30?
Should I actually sleep on it?
I'm gonna keep my.
You can sleep on it.
If I have to, you may have.
I don't know. I might have too much of that beer that Steve is giving out to us on that date. I might be sleeping at the gallery.
It's all good.
Part of the installation. Let's go.
That's pretty real.
A live human. Maybe in the dressmaker shop in the morning, if they see me in my chonies, like walking around scratching myself, they'll be like, "What the hell?" All right, too much information, too much visual.
Too much. All right.
Yes, save some for the show.
All
right. Yeah. So Bob Rob Medina, artist, will be featured Thumbprint Gallery. Punk Rock Bedroom starts March 3rd. Opening reception that night, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Presented by Alta, Carlos Beltran of Alta, and Bob. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you,
Johnny. Thank you. Thanks for having me,
Johnny.
Yeah, man. A lot of fun.
All right.
See
you soon.
See ya.
All right.
Peace.
All right. So that was Carlos Beltran and Bob Rob Medina talking about Punk Rock Bedroom. Exhibition starts March 3rd. You guys don't miss out on that. I wanted to stay on the topic of music a little bit here. We here at this podcast have been following the story of the parent company of Ticketmaster, and that's Live Nation, which is being scrutinized in the wake of the Taylor Swift concert tour debacle, where they were unable to process and deal with the high demand for tickets for that particular concert tour. This has opened up a discussion about whether or not Live Nation has become a monopoly with control of both live music and performance venues, as well as ticketing services, which ultimately hurts consumers. Recently, Live Nation became the subject of a congressional hearing, a hearing in the Senate, actually, to explore whether or not the corporation is guilty of monopolistic practices. And it became clear during the hearing that lawmakers were signaling to the Department of Justice that it should go ahead and move forward with antitrust actions against Live Nation and Ticketmaster. And I wanted to show you a clip of Senator Blumenthal implicitly giving the nod to DOJ to move forward with antitrust action. And he is suggesting that Congress should also pass legislation to deal with it. And give me 1 second here. All right.
Chairman Klobuchar, and thank you for your great work on this issue and so many others involving antitrust, and my thanks as well to Senator Lee. Thank you to everyone for being here today. Mr. Berchtold, I want to congratulate and thank you for an absolutely stunning achievement. You have brought together Republicans and Democrats in an absolutely unified cause. And may I suggest respectfully that unfortunately, your approach today in this hearing is going to solidify that cooperation, because as I hear and read what you have to say, it's basically, it's not us. It's everyone but us. And the fact of the matter is that Live Nation, Ticketmaster, is the 800-pound gorilla here. You have clear dominance, monopolistic control. This whole concert ticket system is a mess. It's a monopolistic mess. And the numbers refute many of your arguments. That's the reason we've had two, count them, two consent decrees, and why the Justice Department is now investigating violations of that second consent decree. Ticketmaster had the temerity to imply that the debacle involved in pre-ticket sales was Taylor Swift's fault because she was failing to do too many concerts. And may I suggest respectfully that Ticketmaster ought to look in the mirror and say, I'm the problem. It's me. And the reason is quite simply that you are the ones ultimately responsible for the astronomically rising prices, the exorbitant hidden fees, the sold out shows, the bots and scalpers. We just had an exchange with Senator Blackburn. You've reported once over this entire history, once, an instance involving bots. I agree with Senator Blackburn that there needs to be stronger enforcement by the FTC. It has taken almost no action against the bots, despite our support for the Bots Act. And that is the reason why I am supporting legislation, talking about remedies, legislation called the BOSS Act, which would require transparency, accountability for hidden fees, for bots. Will you support the BOSS Act?
Yes, Senator, we would absolutely agree that. I'm sorry. Senator, we absolutely agree there are a lot of problems in this industry, and as the leading player, we have an obligation to do better.
Will you support the BOSS Act?
I don't know all of the specific elements. I know there are many elements that we agree upon. I believe there are some issues that we have some differing views, and we've offered to discuss those. We'd like to continue to discuss those going forward.
Will you support legislation to require complete transparency, all in, to provide stronger enforcement powers against bots and scalpers?
We absolutely support all-in pricing. We absolutely support greater enforcement, greater penalties, and expansion of the prohibition on bots.
You know, the FTC has failed in some of its enforcement duties, but that is because Live Nation, Ticketmaster have failed to do the reporting that's required to enable enforcement. And I think that really betrays the contention that you have been active against it. And I think that consumers and artists and venues are all fed up with the system that exists right now. And I think to the people who are fed up, I would say, continue your criticism. If you're angry and frustrated, you have the power to demand action, and we should act with new legislation. If the Department of Justice establishes violation of the consent decree, unwinding the merger ought to be on the table. If the Department of Justice establishes facts that involve monopolistic and predatory abuses, there ought to be structural remedies, such as breaking up the company. We'll see what the Department of Justice finds. And to the FTC, we owe the duty of providing resources that are needed for more effective enforcement, and the incentives and the kinds of encouragement and support for action in this area. Let me ask you, will you support other kinds of legislation that would enable more transparency in this area?
As a general concept, absolutely, we support more transparency. And I also commit that if you pass harder laws on bots with greater enforcement, that I will commit that we will do our part to support that.
And will you take action against the bots?
If we get the laws that are going to be enforced and supported and have real teeth and penalties against people, we will do our part.
But you have the power right now to take action. Why haven't you done it?
We have a limited level of power on something that hasn't been consistently enforced.
You have unlimited power to go to court. Under the current Bots Act, which we have supported, we've given you the right of action. You are the only ones who have the resources and the knowledge to take effective action right now. Why haven't you done it?
Well, we'd love the support of further laws, of working with the FTC, getting other information on the actual sale of the bot-generated tickets on the various secondary platforms.
If you are concerned about artists, consumers, venues, and about the public interest, you would take action under current law. You have the right of action, you have the resources, and you have the kinds of legal.
Okay. So as you can see there, Senator Blumenthal is implicitly urging the Department of Justice to take action and suggesting even breaking up the Live Nation Ticketmaster merger through antitrust action. Now, here is a clip from Sam Cedar of the Majority Report podcast, where he makes a great case as to how the Live Nation Ticketmaster monopoly is stifling creativity and innovation in the music world. And yeah, check this out really fast.
This is a big deal. I mean, both in the sort of like narrow confines, and not that narrow, like all music essentially is dictated by this. Like, and the thing is that the music you hear on a daily basis, you don't necessarily understand like what it does to how much music is available to you and the variety of music, because of the structure of this business will eliminate opportunities for you to hear music that's out there and eliminate opportunities for musicians to make money and for people to get inspired to become musicians. And so this is if it was only about that, it would be a big deal. But it's also about a larger movement to sort of to get rid of monopolies, whether that's, things like Google, whether it's things like Facebook, Meta, whether it's things like the airline industry or the deregulation that has gone on there, whether it's hospitals, all of these things. Once these principles start to get like sort of adopted, and once they become sort of like a part of the fabric of our society again, you start to see these problems all across the board. And it not only does it help in terms of like, it's not just a consumer thing. It helps consumers, but it also helps us as citizens in terms of like having like a wider array of opportunities for music and art and whatnot. But also, it makes a difference in terms of your health, and it also makes a huge difference in terms of our politics, because these entities not only amass market share, but when they amass market share and monopolies, they also amass political power. And they use this political power, and it is never, ever, ever to the benefit of democracy, both in terms of a process, but also in terms of outcomes. So this is really important stuff. And even if your politics are significantly to the left of these.
Okay, so yeah, that was Sam Cedar from the Majority Report podcast. As you can see, he did talk about how this monopoly debate regarding Ticketmaster is not only important to the world of music, but it is also impactful for a variety of industries such as healthcare. And he also talks about how monopolies are fundamentally detrimental to our democracy. So now I want to pivot from there, but still stay on the theme of music. Right now, I'm going to play for you a pre-recorded interview with local rock band GTG, and they're going to have a fundraiser show this Saturday at Tower Bar, starting at 8 p.m. to support the Stop Cop City movement in Atlanta. And yeah, we're going to have them right here, and they're going to talk about their upcoming single and the cause and everything else. Be 1 second. Hey, so I'm here with the GTG band, local San Diego punk rock band. And thank you guys so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Right on, cool. So just to get started, maybe we could do some introductions. Introduce yourself, your role in the band, and maybe a little bit about yourself briefly. We could start with Sal, I guess.
All right, I'm Salvador, aka Sal, aka Saka Sal, aka the Champagne Salvanova, Champagne Salvanova in the sky, aka Call Me Papi. And I play guitar and sing and write music in GTG and organize shows and actions.
Right on. Cool.
And I light fires.
All right. Light fires in the mind.
I commit arson.
Yeah, whoever wants to go next. Julian?
I'm Julian. Most people just call me Jules. I play drums in GTG. I've been in San Diego. I've lived in San Diego since like 2010 or so.
All right.
I've honestly been in and out of lots of bands with Salvador for quite a long time now. And
Right on.
now I'm just in this incarnation of this band, that we're doing right now.
But it just feels like the same band we've been in for the past like 15 years, essentially.
It's true. I think it's our best band so far. I will say I think it's our best band yet.
Yeah.
Oh, hell
Right
yeah.
on. Zach.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
up?
So I'm Zach Kamak. I play bass, and yeah, that's kind of my whole goal is to just kind of be a little freak up there, creeping around, having a good time. So I'm glad that I can contribute that.
He's our
We
new
like to
freak.
call him the erupting
Mhm.
volcano. He
Yeah,
does.
yeah, yeah.
he's
The
good.
AKA the erupting volcano, Zach Kamak, AKA the erupting volcano.
Dope.
And Zach also plays in another band too.
Okay. What
Yeah,
band is that?
yeah, I play.
Worth mentioning.
Yeah,
Shout out.
yeah. Shout out to the Have Nots. So the Have Nots is like my. It's me and 4 other people do like pop punk kind of stuff.
Oh, dope.
So we all wear pink
Yeah.
and
Very fun.
play loud music about sad stuff, and it's fun. Yeah. So that's I'm right in that project, but I haven't really
Okay.
written anything here yet. But would like it's not off the table. It's more like I'm like always busy, and Sal
Right.
is like, yeah, just bring it whenever, and I'm like, okay, I will.
Yeah. We were talking about how we're probably gonna have have some music from Zach. He's like gonna be our George Harrison a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Like it.
That's the
Few
goal.
and
That's
far
the goal.
few and far between songs, but they're probably gonna be the best songs. Like in the future, let's be honest.
Yeah, I like
like
Zach.
it.
I like Zach in the band. I like to tell people that Zach just showed up because it was just me and Sal for a little bit, and then I was like, Zach just kind of showed up and knew how to play our songs better than we did. So we're just like, oh yeah, you should stick around. You should stick around.
When did the band start? Like when did it? How did it start? When did it start?
We started. How long have we been practicing the song? I mean, I feel like we've been practicing maybe it's been like a year now.
All right.
Since me and Julian started practicing,
Yeah.
and then before that, Julian and I were in another band for like 5 years called Good Time Girl.
Yeah, hence the name, like the GTG abbreviation. Like we just
Yeah. It's kind of like an abbreviation of that, but it's not an abbreviation of that. Like that's kind of a secret. Julian just gave away the secret. I really wish he hadn't said that, but it's okay. It already happened. Can
Call
you
your
cut that out,
lawyer.
actually?
I mean, we just it's not like we didn't. It's not like we didn't adopt the. We just kind of took over the Instagram. It still has all of the stuff on it. It's not a big secret.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, we were in a band for a long time. Me and Sal were in a band for a long time called Good Time Girl, and
Okay.
yeah, we just kept going. The other two kind of just decided to go off on their own and do their own thing, and me and Sal kept going.
Yeah.
And
Was that also a punk band or?
Kind of, yeah. It was more of a rock and roll, softer
Okay.
version of what we do now. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did that go on for?
That was like a 5-year-old band.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good run.
And then before that, we played math rock. We played in like a math rock. We were like a math rock / grindcore band called Pusher.
Pusher, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure what math rock is, honestly. To tell
you neither were we.
Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of part of math rock is that you have to not really be sure what you're doing is definitely part of math rock.
Oh, I see.
It's like rock and it's like punk rock, like hardcore. With atypical time signatures, essentially.
Oh, okay.
So
that's the math part.
That would be like the hard definition of it, if you were to bring it down to a one sentence,
Sure. Cool.
There's some crazier stuff. Like, have you ever heard Dillinger Escape Plan? That's some good.
Or the Locust, San Diego Legends.
The Locust,
yeah.
San Diego Legends,
I heard
yeah,
for
sure.
Yeah. Or Drive By Jehu, if you remember those.
Drive By Jehu.
Yeah. I do remember the Locust, though.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah. We tend to play a lot around San Diego. We have played around a lot in San Diego. Our next show coming up is probably it's probably one of the best and sickest bars and probably the most rock and roll punk rock bars in San Diego. The most, if you ask me, it's like the Tower Bar.
Bar, I've been there.
Yeah, absolutely. Supports a lot of really cool, really good local punk bands or bands in general, or any type of genres we're going to play. They have a jazz night on Mondays, anything.
Yeah.
Any kind of band is welcome to play there, and it's an awesome venue. It supports bands like us.
Yeah, they support everybody.
Cool. Have you seen the local punk scene change a lot over the years? Like any larger trends happening or happening?
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like we're more of a rock and roll band with a punk edge,
Got it.
Like the real punk rock scene is just me and Julian were actually talking about this last night at the Live Wire, how it's like the actual the real punk scene is kind of just aging,
Yeah,
it seems like there's not like the younger people aren't really playing punk music.
Really?
That's what we were talking about the other day, is you don't really see young punk kids
Yeah.
walking around anymore, do you? When was
It's
the last
like-
time you saw?
I mean, you do. It's just like they do have like I think like now, like right now, the punk scene it's kind of like I've seen any shows I've seen have been like the sewer shows are like a big thing right now for like the
But yeah,
punk bands,
it's
you
like
know?
it's stratified kind of where like it's more genre specific. Like a lot of San Diego punk right now is like in the hardcore punk scene.
Yeah.
So like that's
Yeah.
like a lot of the like screamy like Cookie Monster kind of vocal
Yep.
kind of punk bands, and that's like
Yeah.
that's been popping for like a while. You know, like the San
Yeah.
Diego hardcore scene has been like
Like how many years would you
pretty
say this has it been
oh
popping?
like a decade or more.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
Yeah,
but
we have a
but
lot
that's
of really
kind of
great hardcore bands.
yeah,
Okay.
but the like kind of old school punk bands, like guitar rock kind of bands, like yeah, there's not like a whole bunch of that going on right now. Like
No, and even I would say that we're really more of a post-punk band too,
Mhm.
is like what we say. Like I guess it's just quick to say like we're like a punk rock band too, but
Okay.
we're more like yeah, like more post-punk, like I don't know, more upbeat version of like Joy Division
Oh, got it.
or I don't know, what would you say, Julian?
I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm no.
Yeah.
I like we have like we're a punk rock band. I say we're a punk rock band. I think
Yeah,
it's
like
not- I
yeah,
don't
like
like complicating it or sounding very very hipster about our genre.
Big
It's
umbrella,
crazy.
big umbrella.
I'm sorry, thanks for
Yeah,
calling
it's
me out
just
for being a big old hipster over
you.
here.
Oh, come on now. No, but yeah, no, it is. Even I think Salvador went to like this like small punk rock like kind of festival thing yesterday, like a big show
I
right
did,
out in
yeah.
Anaheim, and
Mm.
even like he was posting videos, and like if you notice that, like every band up there was like everybody was over 30 in every single
Oh,
one of
okay.
those bands. You know what
Way
I mean?
over 30 though. It was like I was actually we were over
yeah,
there, I was like
there was some gray haired punks up
I'm
there.
the
like,
young I was like I'm the young person at the show again. I haven't been the young person at a show in a little bit, you know.
Nice.
They're all good though. They were all very
Yeah.
good. It's like they all still have like that same crazy like edge that they did there when they were younger, and they still play as hardcore as they did. They still sound as good, if not better, with like
Yeah.
their voices have gotten raspier, you know. But
I mean,
it's
do you,
pretty
Yeah.
do you think the scene like needs more young people? I mean, it seems like it's lacking.
No, like young people are making music and they're like and
Okay.
they're making the music that they're making. Like I don't
Mhm.
care
Yeah.
if an old scene dies and like now they're
Okay.
like I honestly like the new
Yeah.
music that's coming out right now. Like I'm really
Mhm.
just like I really like newer like bands with younger kids like the Bobby Lees and Jim Schwartz and Green Sleeves, you know,
There-
and like
there's
the
a San
Muslims
Diego
from New
band.
York. Yeah, who?
Yeah, there's they got signed by Kill Rockstar or Kill Rockstars. They're called the Inflorescence. They're all like 17, 16, you know, and that's kind of like post punky melodic kind of
Yeah. The
stuff,
kids
you
are
know.
still
So
making music. They're just making
yeah,
different kind of music, and it's really
yeah,
good and it's awesome.
Okay.
So like as long as there's something going on, you know, it doesn't have to be the same thing.
Right.
yeah,
We're just knowing that kind of like that like angry kind of punk rock scene. I feel like it is kind of dying out with like the do that do that do that do that do that do that kind
yeah,
of
I
kind
miss
of
the
punk rock.
pogos.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I miss the pogos. No,
Like and I think it's honestly just like I think like kids are just getting better at playing music too, you know?
Mhm.
yeah,
They're just way more
Yeah.
talented than that too as far as like their instrumentation and musicianship goes.
Teaching themselves on YouTube, maybe, or
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
teaching
maybe
themselves on
and like all
YouTube
these
for sure.
virtuoso guitarists and
definitely
teach
well,
you
it's
how to
way
do this
easier to
thing.
learn to do
Yeah.
stuff now. Yeah. I learned to play guitar through YouTube
Oh,
and
completely?
almost. I mean,
Wow.
I also went to music school. I also did go to music
Oh,
school.
that thing too.
But yeah. I did go to music school. But I learned a lot from
Wow.
YouTube and from the internet. But I was like kind of the early internet where there was like there was like a fraction of what's available now as far as educational resources
Okay.
mhm,
for
I
teaching
actually
yourself to
think
produce music or edit music or mix or master. Like you can learn anything if you really want to at like
yeah,
and when you're a kid you've got nothing but time to learn that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
yeah, there's
That's I
just
think if I was gonna say something about like the kids making music right now or like young people making music, it's like
Mhm.
it kind of there's this swing between like virtuoso type music, so like jazz or like prog
Mhm.
rock or something like that, and like more like folky punk, like kind of more melodic or like
Mhm.
together kind of music. We're definitely swung to the virtuoso side. So like
Okay.
punk was like coming out of the 70s, right? It was coming out of like disco and like all this stuff. And so all of a sudden you have like really simple like song structures. It's not really about how you play. It's kind of about the idea. Now it's kind of going back, like, and it's waffled throughout the 80s, right? The 80s had some virtuoso stuff, the 90s had grunge, like the 2000s had like screamo, and like Pierce the Veil became like a thing, you know, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. So now we're getting more of like the kids are shredding. You know, like they're like good at what they do, which is cool. So it's
Speaking
just
of like,
yeah,
they were saying like TikTok earlier. I'm just saying like kids don't really have to play like shows very much anymore to get their stuff out. You know what I mean? Like when I was younger, I was playing shows in San Diego. Even with Sal, like I was too young to get into the bar. You know what I mean? Like I would have to like sit outside until it was like my band's turn. And then go in, play, and then get the hell out of the
you're good.
Oh, can we cuss?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so like I can't remember the last time I've actually seen like a kid waiting outside being like, yeah, I can't play. I'm like, I need to wait to go in to like play, you know, like now they can
I saw that the other day, actually. I saw that.
Oh, did you really? Here, where?
Shit, I don't remember, but there was a show I went recently to, and the band was all 17-year-olds.
That's pretty rad.
They were all
That'd
just
be that's
like one of the
refreshing to
opening
see.
bands. They were all just kicking it outside, and I was like, I remember that.
Dude, I would do that all the time with Salvador. I would do that all the time. I have to stand outside. I remember the Tin Can Ale House. I was too young to go into it.
I like that venue.
I remember that place. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That place was super cool. But now you can just kind of like post practice sessions. Like if your band's like cool or tight enough, or if you're confident, you kind of just post practice sessions on like TikTok. You know what I mean? And
that's how people blowing up now, or
I think so. Really, like you could.
Yeah.
Easy to get views if you're good. You know, if you're good. If
right.
I mean, the way I say it, like we're kind of in an era where like if you clip the right 10-second sound clip with the right video, you know, at the right moment, like that definitely can like get you a lot of clout and a lot of eyes.
Yeah, look at like King Khan and the BBQ, you know, like they've been like a garage rock band for like over a decade, right?
One of their songs became a TikTok.
It became a TikTok song.
Yeah,
and so all the kids were
you're
like
not on TikTok, huh, Johnny?
Yeah, also all the kids.
You said you're not on TikTok, huh, Johnny?
Oh, I'm on it. I'm just like not. I just forget.
Sorry, what were you saying, Zach?
I forget to post.
Oh no, I mean it's funny because like they've been around for
like
forever. I know, yeah, she jumped.
What'd you say,
I'm
Zach?
trying to get her to not jump the mic. But yeah, that was one. You know, all it took was like one video hit the right like stride. You know, so that's just how TikTok works.
That one, yeah. And it was all over the place. And like a whole new generation of people got introduced to King Khan in the barbecue show. Kind of like with Kate Bush too, you know? It wasn't TikTok, but then TikTok kind of did take over it. Like what was it? Stranger Things was so big. And what was the other song? Master of Puppet had a resurgence too.
Yeah, Metallica.
That I saw a bunch of like, you know, remakes, or what do they call them, like remixes or
yeah, people using the sound.
There's a few Deftones,
whatever. Okay.
I kind of just noticed too, like with punk scenes like today or right now, like there's kind of just like a lot to be angry about, you know what I mean? But there's like there's no like
writing angry music.
Like, they're writing angry music to be like.
I don't feel there's some.
They're not writing angry music.
Not really. Like, is that weird to like kind of like ask for angry music or want angry music? Is that weird?
It's like different though. Yeah, I feel like
I'm listening to some stuff that has some. I've listened to some angry music. There's like a lot of like would be like queer punk right now. Like like the Muslims and
interesting.
New Against Me and Daisy and what is it? Daisy and
Daisy
and the Scouts. You know, those are some like newer bands that are like writing angry kind of like punk music.
I kind of feel like that's what we're doing, you know what I mean? That's what
No, we're sort of doing it on a different, like, I feel like I definitely like feel like no one doing like stuff kind of from the perspective that we're doing it, which is kind of like from the more like I don't know, just like a Chicano perspective to like a minority perspective. We're trying to be like more conscious of that.
Okay, and political too as well, right?
Yeah, definitely political. Like a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. Like yeah, we like right now I'm just kind of trying to take on a lot of like subjects I don't hear other people kind of addressing right now in
Mm,
music for some reasons. I don't know, like police brutality
right.
It's
is
kind of big on that.
definitely
A lot of our songs
a
are big
big
on
one.
that.
Like yeah, racist, like just the current like racist and homophobic undertones in all of society right now are
Mhm.
something that's been really bothering me as a songwriter. So that's kind of like stuff we've been focusing on too.
Right on.
And yeah, like moving on to the next show, it's
Anti-fascism,
actually a fundraiser. Yeah, yeah, anti-fascism,
But
socialism, community building.
would you say punk music has become like more or less political over the last 10 years?
Like it's interesting because I've always thought that punk is supposed to be political, but like I
Hmm.
feel like there's also a lot of people that feel like punk is really more supposed to be nihilistic as well too. So there's
Right.
like the super leftist idea of like
Hmm.
punk rock, but
Hmm.
there's also some people like mainly like a lot of like white punks,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
they're more on like the nihilistic idea of like punk rock where like they don't really even want to bother it. Like it's more about like destroying
Just to.
yourself as well as
Hmm.
society, like let's just like get as fucked
Watch it
up
all
and
burn.
party and
Like
have as much fun
that's
as we can and like yeah and like just like fuck everything because I'm like privileged enough to
Right.
not
Not
be
grounded in
like
anything
worried
material.
about that kind of stuff, but like
Right.
coming from like an ethnic or a queer like punk rock perspective,
Yeah.
like no, like yeah, we feel that like we're kind of more on the edge of like the like punk as like a form of political action,
Yeah.
punk and rock and roll and just like music in general and creativity.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. What about during the Trump years? Did you see a lot of music that was political during the Trump years?
The best one was
I guess
"Fuck
we
Donald
may
Trump"
still
by
be in the
Nipsey
Trump years.
Hussle. Like,
Yeah.
that
Oh
song
yeah,
he came out
yeah,
Donald Trump
Nipsey
era
had it.
was rest in power,
yes.
Nips.
I
Yeah.
bumped
So
that like a
tragic.
million times.
Oh yeah, dude. Fuck Donald Trump.
You know what I'm saying?
Fuck Donald Trump.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was especially through like the pandemic and stuff. People like kind of all of the anger was kind of mashed up with like other emotions too. So I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of music that was coming out around like Donald Trump was like
it didn't get
wow,
released.
this sucks. Yeah, it wasn't like overtly angry. It was kind of like, I guess I'll get through this. This is weird. Are you guys
Right.
seeing this too? Like
People
kind
were
of
writing really like emotional stuff, like
yeah,
introspective kind of stuff.
And
Mhm.
also
yeah.
like
Like how do we get here?
during pandemic,
Yeah.
like you couldn't really. I'm sorry, you
Go
couldn't really
ahead.
like bands couldn't really practice together or get together. So
Mm.
like a lot of music didn't come out, or things like or even Zach was kind of the victim of like having just released music and then like the
Oh man.
pandemic
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
speaking of like music, like political music, like probably the biggest political like thing that came out that like everyone would be familiar with from that era would probably be like Idols, They put
Yeah.
out what was the
Hell yeah.
last album called? Brutal? Was it Brutalism? No, it was
Uh,
damn.
Brutalism Ultramono was the one that came out
Yeah.
during the pandemic, I think, or
Yeah,
right after
and
it.
even they'd be considered a political band, but they're definitely like
Yeah.
more well, I feel like not very, but they're definitely like more subtle,
Mhm.
I feel like they're like pretty overt,
They're
They have
pretty over
songs.
it, yeah.
Yeah, there's those songs about beating up like conservatives, so I
Yeah,
get. I
I feel
feel
like
like
that
that's
was more in
pretty.
like
We have like
Joy
5
as
songs about that.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I've noticed actually. I heard the demo.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh, thanks.
Oh, yeah,
Really
nice.
catchy. It's really catchy. It's really
all the
good. I'm looking forward
tracks.
to it.
Do you like
Thank
it?
you.
Yeah, we haven't
Oh
put
yeah, I
any of
love
that
it.
music out yet.
Right on.
It's all just being like kind of like leaked out like little by little on social media.
Right.
And then we'll probably at one point like put the first track out. We just want to get some like design involved
Mhm.
too, like come up with a cool cover and maybe like I'm working with a local artist too, Justin Coda, to surprise announcement for the band too, to design like
Okay.
a t-shirt for us too.
Dope.
Yeah.
Will you have it at the show or?
No, we
too
probably
early.
won't
All
have
right.
the t-shirt ready at the show yet. No,
All right.
it's still I just started working on that today.
Okay. Dope.
Our show coming up. Well, actually, we kind of want to aim for all of our like San Diego shows, I guess, to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
like
yeah,
like
yeah.
fundraising shows.
Mhm.
Would be is what we do or trying
Yeah,
to
can we
do.
talk about the cause for the show for a little bit? Yeah.
Is that
Oh
all right?
yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Of course, the upcoming show fundraiser to support a Stop Cop City movement in
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Can I
Um,
ask you actually, Johnny, how much do you know about that? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm
oh,
like,
Cop City. Yeah, I've been following it.
yeah.
I know that the Atlanta Police Department is leasing like 300 acres of land that the city has given to them, and there's ecological problems with it. It's gonna be a huge cop like training facility, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
militarization
And
of
with
the
like
like
in a
city.
fake
fake urban
neighborhoods.
village.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fake neighborhoods, fake burning buildings. Like it's yeah.
Oh,
I'm surprised how little I feel like there's like such little awareness of it, really. When I like
mhm,
just talking
yeah,
to people, like I guess unless you're like us, where you kind of like really keep up with that kind of
yeah.
stuff, I
It's
feel like
not
no
being
one's
talked
really
about for
talking
sure.
about it anywhere. No, today I did some Google searches. You know, I Google
Mhm,
searched Stop Cop City and I
mhm.
YouTube Stop Cop City, and like there seems to be some action going on in like the Twitter sphere and the Instagram sphere. But yeah, I feel like yeah, not as many people are talking about it as I feel should be talking about the what's going on over there right now.
Right,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
especially even somebody's
mhm,
died. Like an activist has been killed, like defending that cause. You know, like
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Tyre Nicholes, rest in power.
right, right. And
Yeah.
we should say that activists have been camping out, for people
Yeah,
that
yeah, the
don't know,
forest
in the
defenders.
forest, trying
they
to
have
stop the development of Cop City, which is a huge cop training center, which is next to the predominantly black
Predominantly
community.
black
neighborhood. Yeah,
community. Yeah, yeah.
And
And then recently, like
mhm,
last year too, what's the name? The city of Atlanta had declared the forest where they're actually tearing down to build the Cop City as one of the quote unquote like lungs of the city
right,
yeah,
too, you know.
yeah.
So it's like
right.
it's important ecologically where there's already
Hmm.
like in the black community you're talking about, like one of the side effects of living in a black community or like just in a community that's poorer
Right.
in any city is that a lot of people suffer from like surprise lung disease, you know,
Yeah.
because no one cares about what they build around you, so they just put all these industries that pollute people. There's a landfill right next to them.
Hmm.
There's a water treatment facility.
A
There's a
gun
facility where
range.
there's a gun range, and there's a
Yeah,
facility where they build trucks. There's like a semi truck
Yeah, that's
factory
just
where they make
generational
trucks and
damage, really.
tires. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, and the people in those communities are already suffering from more what is it respiratory related
Hmm.
illnesses and asthma and cars and cancers that are all like airborne carcinogens, you know, in the area, and them tearing that forest down is not going to make the situation any better for the people that live in that
Right.
community too.
Well, we should say a similar situation in Barrio Logan with all the industry there.
Yeah, yeah, just like
Yeah.
in Barrio Logan,
Mhm.
where we're right next to I live in Barrio Logan right now, and yeah,
Okay.
Salvador.
historically the residents of Barrio Logan do suffer
Right.
from increased incidences of respiratory illness. And yeah, when I used to be an organizer too for the Democratic Party
Hmm.
a couple years ago, I used to canvass for David Alvarez.
Yeah.
That was one of the talking points that we had
I remember
when we
that.
would go
I
door
remember
to
that.
door. Yeah.
Dope. Um. So okay. So we should say the show, the fundraiser show. This Saturday. What
The
February
February
25th.
25th.
February
Yeah, yeah.
25th
So
at the
you said
Tower
that it's
Bar.
coming out on Wednesday.
Yeah, this
The
coming out
twen-
Wednesday. So yeah.
yeah, the 22nd. So yeah, so 3 days after today,
Hmm.
3 days from now.
Yeah. So the money being raised at the door is going to the
The Atlanta Solidarity.
Atlanta Solidarity Fund, which
Yeah.
helps to bail out
Hmm.
protesters.
Yeah, yeah. Provide legal funds for legal defense for protesters. Yeah, and the forest defenders and just anyone that like the pigs round up
Right.
for arrests or whatever.
Right on. And Sal, you said you did some political organizing and volunteering and whatnot, door knocking.
Yeah, I used to do canvassing
Hmm.
and like organized protests and actions, and I used to work for like some of the unions and the San Diego Democratic Party.
All right.
But yeah, that was in a past life. You know, I stopped organizing around the time of the Hillary campaign.
Mm.
Was
Still
the last time I
Democrat?
was. I was formerly. No, definitely I'm registered as a Democrat,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
because I want to get the I'm actually alt-right. No, I'm just kidding. I'm registered as a Democrat because I want to get you need to register as a Democrat if you want to vote for Democratic candidates in primaries.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So as a consequence of that,
Well, only the president though.
no. Local primary elections too. You usually don't get all the stuff, all the information if you're not registered as a Democrat.
I see. I don't know if that's true. Like the city council and all that. No, you don't need to be a
For
Democrat. No, it's all jungle primary. But
for
you
primary elections for electing who's gonna be the candidate of the Democratic Party before the council election, before the actual
oh,
so for electing who's going to be your candidate to run for council for the actual election,
right.
to vote for the Democratic candidate, I believe you usually have to be registered to the party. So you wouldn't get, if you're registered as a Democrat, you're not going to get the ballot for like who are we going to select to run as a Republican against a Democrat during the actual, I don't mean a primary election like the election, I mean the preliminary primary election.
Oh, you mean like the endorsement for the party kind of thing?
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
when the
okay,
party
got it.
decides who they're gonna run.
Yeah,
Like you registered as a leftist, they're not gonna get
right.
the Republican ballot for like who, because
Sure, yeah.
they're gonna pick between like 3 or 4 different candidates for their
Got
party.
it.
And
Got it.
you don't like, yeah, I want to vote for that election too. So you
Mhm.
got to be registered. If you're registered, even if you're registered Green or Independent or any other party, you're not gonna get the primary stuff.
Right on.
Yeah.
So so the music that you guys do is political. Like what other causes have you guys supported in the past?
Well, the last show that we did was for the
The Club
Club
Q shootings.
Q.
yeah, but
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember. The foundation was the
Okay.
Colorado Healing Fund.
Okay.
Mhm.
Where was that?
That was also a Tower Bar. Yeah, our home
Yeah.
venue.
Okay, dope. Nice.
Yeah, and the first show, the show they played for that was for a local radio station, for KNSJ,
Cool.
local justice radio station. But yeah, that was after the Club Q shooting, the tragedy in Colorado. We raised money for the benefit of the victims of that, the families of the victims.
Wow. Was there a
Yeah.
lot of people that came out for that
About
or
50. We
yeah.
raised
Yeah,
five
we,
hundred
we had a
dollars.
Oh,
we raised a
nice.
little more. Like we had a goal of 500. I think we had like
Yeah, we raised.
546 or something.
Oh, good
Yeah.
for
Some
you.
people donate some extra money too. Yeah, that wasn't bad. 50 people in the Tower Bar is
Yeah,
a
Tower
pretty
Bar's
good-
not huge.
Yeah,
So.
Right.
it's not
amount
a
of
big
people for
venue.
Tower
Yeah.
Bar. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for doing all that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then the next one, actually, originally, like the next one is probably gonna be the one we were gonna do now, because originally I was talking to people, like looking for other causes that would piss off fascists to raise money for.
This will be the one, man.
And originally, this is a good one. This is a good one. It's good timing. But originally it was going to be for the LGBTQ center in Hillcrest
Okay, yeah.
to raise money for like homeless LGBTQ youth.
Sure.
That'll probably be next.
So that was originally what we were gonna do, but then the Cop City thing happened, and we decided
Right.
to pivot and like raise money for this other cause instead. And then maybe for the next month, we're
Swing
actually
back
working
around.
with yeah. I'm talking to Cunt Punch right now. Great,
Oh,
great
what a
punk rock
name.
band.
Wow.
Yeah, shout out to Cunt Punch. I went
They're
to
a
get
local band,
burgers. They're from LA.
Holy shit. Okay.
They're from LA. I went to get burgers with my friend before we came to talk to you, and we got there at the Friendly Tavern, and the guy behind the counter was like, "Oh, I love your shirt. What's it say?" And I was like, "Oh, it says Cunt Punch." And the guy comes like, "What was that again?" I was like, "Oh, Cunt Punch," and I just yelled it across the restaurant, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I love that. That's great."
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they
They're
gave us
pretty good, though.
discounts. They
They're-
gave us discounts on the food and everything. They loved my shirt.
Dope. So you guys have a
Everything I
single
need.
coming out, right? A
Yeah.
single? Yeah, tell us about the single.
Acaba.
It's called
what-
ACAB. I think it's called ACAB all day, all night. Is the full
Yeah,
title.
it's called ACAB
Yeah.
parentheses all day and all night.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's the song
ACAB.
you guys had on your IG.
On
Promo.
your IG. Yeah, it's not really available anywhere right now. Like you gotta follow us on Instagram, and you'll get to hear like little snippets of it. We're leaking it. If you want to play it at some point, like you're more than welcome to play parts of it. I sent it to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna play what you have on the IG.
And that's up to you. I'm not. Yeah, you don't have to play it at all. But if you go
Oh,
on our
we're
IG,
definitely playing it.
yeah, you can
Nice,
play. You
thank
can
you.
play the whole thing if you want.
Oh, it's
Feel free to
super
play the whole
catchy.
thing.
I've actually listened to it like 5 times. Like, I gotta hear that one more
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Really
You're more
good.
than welcome to to play that. But yeah, we still haven't released it on Instagram. So right now, like it's just
Yeah, I'll play the
think we-
snippet you have on your social, but that's it.
yeah, for sure. Thanks. Yeah, and
I
then
think we plan on releasing it the day of the show, right? Are we dropping it the day of the show?
that's the idea. But I'm
Yeah.
also working on designing the cover art for it, and yeah, so it's still tentative on whether it's gonna come out the day of the show or not. We're still
What's the
like
song
maybe
about?
we're gonna
should.
want to put out a T-shirt at the same time as the song. You know,
Yeah.
if we can make that happen quickly.
That'd be dope.
The song. What's the
Yeah,
song
what's the
about?
song about? Yeah, what's the song about?
The song's just about police brutality, you know, and about how the cops are a bunch of hypocrites that
Mhm.
try to run what we say, like political outreach campaigns, you know,
Yeah.
like specifically like marching in the Pride Parade. I went to the Pride Parade last time, and
Mhm.
I got there just in time to see like all the cops marching by.
Yeah,
And I
what was that all about? Like I heard that
you
in
know,
the lyrics and
they're just trying to participate, because like yeah, they were just trying to participate, and it's like,
oh,
and
so on a PR exercise kind of thing, or
they were marching in the
Kinda.
Pride Parade, like just
Right,
marching down
got
the
it.
middle of the Pride Parade, and like I
Yeah.
guess maybe like if you don't come from an activist background, like for people out there
Right.
who don't know, like it's like if you've been to protests having to do with with queer rights or
Mhm.
feminist rights or gay rights, or just there's or just anything, you know, at any protest, like the queers are all out there, you know, like the feminist activists are out there, and if
Mhm.
you're in any kind of like leftist protest in San Diego, like 9 out of 10 times, if it goes past a certain hour, we all get
Okay.
brutalized by cops, you know.
I
If you
got
were
it.
at Occupy, if you were at the Women's March, if you were at the Roe v. Wade stuff, you know, we did our march, we had our protest, like the cops do their tactics where they show up and they do what's called kettling, where they
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
kind of like wrangle you all as you're like marching. They take you into some kind of a
Interesting.
corner where you're secluded, and then they just fucking brutalize you.
Wow.
Like they come in and they arrest people, they fucking beat us up, they like pepper spray us. It happens at every protest in San Diego. It's very common.
Right.
And then whenever they have whenever like for example, the last time like a bunch of Nazis showed up in Pacific Beach during the pandemic,
Oh, I remember that.
yeah, like the cops showed up there to protect them, you know. They showed up to protect them. They escorted them as they walked around, you know, it's like actual like literal Nazis.
Yeah, you
Cops showed up to protect the Proud Boys at the YMCA here in Santee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah,
Exactly.
legit. Like
The
just
Proud
just
Boys
a few
want to
weeks
have an
ago.
action. Yeah, no one wants them around, and like the cops are going to show up to protect them. Whereas like when we have an action, like I don't know, an action to protect gay rights, or an action like for example, like the most recent one for women's rights to abortion,
Mhm.
or I'm sorry, people with uteruses rights to abortion,
Right.
the cops showed up to brutalize us, you know, and intimidate us.
Mhm.
So it's just like they're definitely the San Diego PD are definitely a bunch of pigs, and like it's definitely like the state of San Diego, and like in the fact that we're like just becoming such a late stage capitalist dystopia, in the disparity between, you know, like the rich and the poor here, and how like, you know, most service industry workers here in San Diego can't even afford to live here.
Right.
And like it just seems that the police are just a tool to help enforce that status quo, especially in a city like this.
And keep real estate values up.
Yeah, keep real estate
Yeah.
values up. Yeah, exactly. That's definitely like the protect people's bottom lines.
Mhm. Mhm. All right. Well, is there anything else you guys want to pitch, or any other shows after the Saturday Tower Bar?
We don't have anything coming up after
Okay.
that right now, but yeah, you know, like follow us on our social medias. Right now, we're actually G.T.G, the
Okay.
band, on Instagram,
All right.
and GTG on TikTok. You know, just look
All
for
right.
GTG. You can find us. If you're in the Southern California area, chances are if you type GTG into social media, we'll probably come up.
Yeah.
Right on. And one last question. What is some advice you would give to up and coming musicians looking to get into the local scene here for the first time?
Oh, networking is the best. It's the best thing. Talking to meeting people at shows, talking to people at shows. That's really how we get our shows most of the time these days.
Just go to shows. Yeah,
Just go to shows. Go to shows. Go
You'll
support
find that
the other bands.
if you're at shows supporting bands, like you'll meet the people that you need to talk to make stuff happen. You know, just be friendly and outgoing and go support other people. Give love, get love. You know, as they say.
Yeah.
Be respectful. Be kind to everybody. You know, support the local band. Even if you don't really like, you went to see a band, they didn't sound like the best. You didn't like. That doesn't matter. You know, they're up there and they're kind of where you want to be at that moment. You know. So.
Yeah. I always ask that question to everybody in all kinds of different art forms. Almost always the same answer. Just you get out there, meet people, support the scene.
What were you gonna say, Zach?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So this is like a cautionary tale. Like if you're young, especially if you're young, because that's who these people prey on. Don't pay to play a show. Don't pay to play a show. Don't. There's venues in town I will not mention. Yeah, but they will contact you. They'll be like a cool 18-year-old band. They're all like in high school, just out of high school and college, and they're super like stoked to play music. But then a venue will contact them and be like, hey, do you want to play? We got this date for you. We can get like some more bands on it. The kids go, yeah, of course. And then they go, okay, well, you have to sell 100-something tickets or you owe us $400.
32.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Yeah, or whatever it is. You know, it's like 30. Yeah, 30. It's like a minimum amount of tickets. But that's the venue's job. Like all of the reputable venues in town. Like if you look at like the Casbah or whatever, the Casbah doesn't like ask like X to sell, you know, like they, they promote the shows and people know that the people playing there are going to be good. It's the same with Tower. It's the same with any good venue in town, you know. So don't pay to play if you're new.
Yeah,
if you're young, don't do it. Yeah.
In fact, if someone tells you to pay to play, tell them fuck you. How dare you?
Yeah, exactly.
How fucking dare
tell them to
ask
suck
me to
it.
pay to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell them to kick rocks.
Yeah. Go to the shows, go to your friends' shows, and don't pay to play.
Yeah.
And go to our show, February 25th.
Yeah, and go to our show. We'll play with you. Yeah, come talk to me.
Yeah, we'll play with you.
If you're about trying to play a show and you're new, come see me, and I'll get you a show.
You know what? I'll be there, but I don't need a show.
Yeah. If you got any friends,
but we got you if you need one.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Hit me up. I'll get you a 6 show.
Right on. Well, cool. Thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. GTG, the band. I'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. All right. So that was GTG band and talking about their upcoming show at Tower Bar this Saturday. Stop Cop City fundraiser. I wanted to play a little snippet of their new single coming out. Give me 1 second.
Right of you so right. A cab all day and all night. Fuck the cops, fuck the KKK all day. One and the same, that's what I say. Fuck the cops, fuck the KKK all day. One and the same, that's what I say. They wanna.
Yeah, so that's their new single coming out. And Stop Cop City fundraiser show this Saturday at Tower Bar, February 25th. Doors open at 8 p.m. And the door fee will go to the cause, the what is it called? The Atlanta Solidarity Fund to provide legal services for the forest protectors over there in Atlanta. Stop Cop City. And I do appreciate artists, musicians, and other creatives using their talents to support social justice causes. And I do hope we see more of this in San Diego. And just staying on the theme of reining in police violence, I wanted to take the focus to something more local to San Diego. Over the past few years, there has been a police accountability law being proposed by activists called the Protect Act. Now, this proposed ordinance would do the following. Number one, it would require officers to have probable cause to stop, detain, or search a person. This includes people with fourth waivers, and those are people on probation or parole who have waived some of their Fourth Amendment rights. Number two, the proposed ordinance would eliminate stops for certain equipment violations, i.e., expired registration, broken turn signals, stuff like that. And number three, the proposed ordinance would prohibit officers from questioning people about any offense beyond the offense for which they were stopped unless there is probable cause. And number four, the Protect ordinance would hold officers accountable if they do violate the Protect ordinance. Now, this proposal has yet to be given a vote on city council. And you should know that there are several city council members who are endorsed and supported by the San Diego Police Union, which is strongly opposed to the Protect Act. Now, these council members are as follows: Kent Lee, Stephen Whitburn, and Jen Campbell, as far as I know anyways. And also our mayor, Todd Gloria, is also endorsed and supported by the police union. Now, does this have anything to do with why this police accountability proposal is not getting a vote in the city council? I don't know. I guess it's hard to say. Maybe you should ask them. Call these city council members, send them an email, ask them about the Protect Act. In fact, call and email all city council members about this. If you believe in increased police accountability. Now, I wanted to continue on the theme of reining in police violence against the Black community and people of color. And I want to go to our next story about a local artist, San Diego artist Lourans Mikhail, who has been chosen to paint a memorial mural for Tyre Nicholes, who was beaten to death by the police in Memphis earlier this year. And the mural will be in Memphis. Here's a video interview which aired on CBS 8 San Diego. Give me 1 second.
Zoom is great to interact on a call. Right. When it comes to doing podcasts, you have to be using Riverside. What are you doing if you're not?
A sculptor and artist from Ramona is heading to Memphis. CBS 8's Abby Black shares one of the most important pieces of art he plans to paste.
From sculptures to murals, Lourans Mikhail will use his art to evoke emotion. But in his most recent project featuring Tyre Nicholes, it'll help the community heal. Artist Lourans Mikhail may not say a lot.
With all my art, I try to show perspective.
But the message in his art carries some weight.
So it's a sonogram with a grenade in it, kind of turning it into a war.
From pro-choice to representation.
Showing people that, other people exist and they need a voice.
The U.S. Marine Corps veteran lets the paint do the talking.
A picture can say 1,000 words.
That next picture will be a mural with a deeper meaning.
I think it's completely different, and the message is more important than anything.
After reading about the police beating and death of Tyre Nicholes in Memphis, Mikhail wanted to help the community heal.
And it wasn't really about me. I just wanted to do something for them, and this is the way I know how to do things.
The Assyrian has participated in Paint Memphis festivals before, where his political murals have helped transform communities.
You see the backlash, and having friends from different cultures, I think, and seeing the world from a different perspective helps me see that and realize that there's no differences to us.
Depending on weather, Mikhail plans to fly out to Memphis next week to paint the mural over 3 to 5 days. The only clues he's given us about the designer, these rolls of film and the similarities that helped him feel connected to Tyre.
And the fact that he was a skateboarder, a photographer, a father. So I'm going to try to incorporate some of what he did.
Mikhail hopes that the heaviness of Tyre's death can be healed through his mural.
It's public art, and I think art is supposed to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable, so it makes people talk about what should be talked about.
In Ramona, I'm Abby Black, CBS 8.
All right. So we do hope to have Lourans Mikhail on the podcast soon to talk about the memorial mural project. Also, incidentally, Lourans will be showing some of his art in Thumbprint Gallery's upcoming collaboration with Visual in North Park on March 10th. So don't forget to check that out. And I wanted to address some comments that we got on Instagram. GTG the band says, LOL, probable cause, so they can still do what they want. And yeah, I get your sentiment and talking about the Protect Act and your skepticism, but every little bit helps to hopefully prevent unnecessary violence and death through state-sponsored police murder. But yeah, I do get your skepticism about that and our legal system. Also, I don't know what this really means. David Seto on Facebook says, "Are you gonna ban AI art in San Diego?" Well, I do not have the power to ban anything in particular, especially art or AI art. But I think David is referring to our past coverage of the AI art phenomenon, and we'll continue to keep tabs on that as well. So, well, anyways, everybody. Okay, so on Instagram, Rostilio says, "You gotta move the chains inside and agitate outside. Genie out of the bottle." Not sure exactly what you're trying to say there. You're talking about, I think, the Protect Act and activism against police violence. You got to move the chains inside and agitate outside. I think he's calling for more activism. Maybe he's talking about you got to have an inside game, which is, through legislation for social justice. Okay, he's not even talking about that. He's talking about reference to AI, so I don't really even understand what he's talking about. But anyways, okay, yeah, he says yes, exactly. Yeah, so we got to have an inside game, which means legislation for social justice, and an outside game, which means direct action and protests. Yeah, that's a good point, Rogelio Casas. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for checking out the Creative Buzz podcast. That's all we have for you today. And we'll see you.